everyone, we're live. Hello, Dino. How was your awesome week?
It was a great week. Exhausting, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It was awesome. Yeah.
So it looks like you're really energized today because of it.
It was exactly what I mean. This was 10 days. I posted some stuff, but, obviously the bulk of the stuff, you're not going to post every single thing, but I overbooked. And excuse me. So towards the end, it was almost 5-6 meetings a day. And, it gets tiring. It gets really tiring. But the social interaction, the chemical reaction that I keep talking about and preaching about all the time, that's exactly what was there. Real people, real meetings, real business settings, real household settings, real family, stuff that I miss, stuff that's never going to go out of style as far as I'm concerned, and something that the younger generation or those glued to a computer should take and learn from. This was priceless. I'm going back, by the way. There's so much stuff going on. I'm going back. I got to go to Toronto, and then after I come back, I'm speaking here to this community, and then I go back to Chicago.
Wow!
But how are you? How was your week?
Beautiful. Good. My week was good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, today I had someone reaching out from our community, asking to speak about something. Right? It's two questions. So I think we'll do one this week and one next week. So she was saying, how do you let go of the past and accept reality? Now, those are two very big questions, right? Those are very big topics, especially the accept reality one, which can go into all sorts of things. So I think, considering you went to Chicago and you connected with a whole lot of your friends, even when you were in nursery school, right? Nursery school friends, and so it was pretty cool. I know that because you posted it on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we should chat about accepting reality. So how do you accept reality, and what is reality anyway? So is reality this? Is reality outside walking on the beach or whatever, or doing your meetings in Chicago? Or is reality something that we create in our heads? What do you think, Dino?
This is just a deep question. Good for I'm glad the question was asked. I'm glad it's coming in. But this is such a deep subject. It's kind of, you can attack it from all different ways. To cut to the chase, and then we can kind of maybe work it backwards, I guess, is reality is when you understand who you are. Okay. That's reality. Whether it's in the past that you're dwelling about, or you're worried about the future, or you're talking about the present, or if you're on social platforms or you're face to face, all that is trumped by that answer.
Okay.
Who you are.
Right. So now we know we've spoken about this often. So tell me, Dino, how do you decide that? How do you determine who you are?
Wow. Well, it just depends. For me, it was dependent largely on what stage of my life I was in, right? So, like I said, it's well documented. I went to Chicago for business, but since I'm there, I'm not going to pass up reconnecting with a lot of friends. These friends, keep in mind, are friends that I haven't seen in 40, 45, some of them 50 years.
That's insane. Right?
It is insane. It's way, way, way too long. It's a lifetime for some people. But you you don't think of it that way. I mean, when you go out, at least when I did, when I went out on my own, I was determined to go out on my own. I didn't want my family name to define me. I didn't want the Greek community or the church to define me. I wanted to do something for me. And I had something to prove, keep in mind. It wasn't just on carrying around my dad's name, which, as you know now from all the posts, I mean, the whole world knows him, and some of the stuff that he's done and touched so many people, I didn't even know. I mean, he wasn't a bragger, like telling people what he does, but you start finding this out later. After he's passed, how incredible he was. Anyway, that was, for me, tough shoes to follow, right? A tough act to follow. And in addition to that, I didn't like school, admittedly. I mean, I didn't like to read. I didn't like homework. I didn't like tests and the canned answers and the whole ritual of school, it just didn't appeal to me. So I had a stigma, self-imposed, I suppose. But at the time it was, proving to everybody, notice I didn't say myself, proving to everybody that, hey, I'm going to make it. And I don't need to go to school, and I am a college dropout, and I don't need to embrace the Greek community to get a favor or, to get a door open because of who my dad was. I mean, it's just, I don't know anybody, you don't ask this question, but I'm just candidly talking about me.
Yes.
This was the beginning, right? So at the time, who I wasn't necessarily Greek or Hellenic or spiritual or family oriented or whatever. Who I thought I was just this well-oiled, fine-tuned business machine that, you just wind up and put anywhere and it just, takes over everything, almost like a weed. Bad example.
That is a bad example.
But I mean, that's kind of how you feel. You feel all powerful. You feel like a machine. Your reputation starts going around, the right circles and stuff. And that was what defined me until it didn't define me. Until in my head, there's a certain picture of riches that I had. And for everybody, I guess it's different. I exceeded that picture so much that I remember whispering to my wife, I'm like, okay, this is uncharted waters because I've never made this much money before. I don't know what comes next. It was kind of exciting and it was also terrifying.
Yes.
Both emotions that I love.
Yes.
Anyway, but after I exceeded all expectations of riches, it wasn't enough. It wasn't what I was looking for. And isn't it funny how, in different stages of your life, you're defined by different things. And it's good to be successful. It's good to have money. It's good to accomplish things. It's great to have a reputation. But who are you at the end of the day then?
Yes.
I don't want to just be a well-oiled business machine. I want to be a well-rounded person who has friends. And let me define friends, okay?
Yes, that's a good thing.
It's nice to have Facebook friends. It's nice to have Instagram friends. It's nice to have 2 million followers on TikTok. And I'm not saying you're not appreciative of the following, but you're not really going to be able to call each one of them and stop in for a cup of coffee. You're not going to be able to talk to them and reminisce about the past or some commonality or upbringing or, whatever it is. And I'm not trying to be separatist, like, if it's not Greek. There's beautiful friends from all cultures, all religions, all races. That's not what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, you need to brush up maybe on the definition of friends.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And once you have them, you realize that all this time that you're dreading coming back, either because of embarrassment or well, we grew out of touch, or, well, they're going to laugh at me. Well, there's, too much time has expired. I'm proving it. I'm a living example. It's never too late. Every social meeting that I had on this trip, as an example, was first of all a blessing, and honestly, it was as if we picked up where we left off.
Nice.
Remember the time we were riding bikes in the alley and you were going too fast and you slipped, you skid on the sand that was in the alley and you fell and you got hurt. I'm like, I still have that scar on my knee, and then after you finish that, you find that, wow, what was I waiting for? It's very fulfilling, Carina. I mean, it's very hard to explain. It doesn't mean drop your career or your job or, whatever you're doing and, become this social butterfly. But for me, who I am today is a different definition of who I was then, right? And you just have to accept who you are. To answer the question bluntly, like I said, I mean, reality. What is reality? Right now, reality for me is having meaning, having purpose, understanding that I do have some gifts that are not solely exclusive to me. Got to get that big head smaller and in check, right? But I do have a gift and I want to use it. But while I'm using it and while I can open up businesses seemingly easy to other people, keep in mind, I got 40 years of experience to do this.
Yes.
But I also am more well-rounded. I'll go to church and socialize, with having coffee after it. And I'll go to a book reading. I'll go visit a friend. I'll go stop in for a cup of coffee. I mean, I'll do things that typically in the past, believe it or not, were out of my comfort zone. But what I'm realizing is it's a more well-rounded person, isn't it?
Yes.
Did that answer the question a little?
Yes, I like that, because we don't realize how important those connections are, and just having a cup of coffee and just connecting and speaking about whatever, It doesn't have to be business.
You don't really run out of things to say. And frankly, I mean, the friend visits were never about business. I have business meetings. They were business. I had business meetings with friends that happened to be, we were out for 40 years, but we're both business people. We covered the friendship and the good memories. And then we're like, okay, let's talk about business. I mean, you can't separate the two. But so to answer the second part a little bit, I know you want to do it next week, but you don't let go of the past. You remember it and you put it in its proper place. You don't live for the past. You don't mourn or lament the past, but you have good memories. Obviously, you have bad memories too. You're not going to really always dwell on the bad memories because it'll drive you insane. But you appreciate what happened for what it's worth. You put it in its proper place. You don't forget about it. First of all, you can't forget about it.
Of course.
I mean, some people block it out, and that's a whole other psychological thing. But for the most part, you don't forget about your past. You don't even let go of your past. It's part of you, right? And for there's a lot of situations where your past is a great predictor of your future, good and bad.
If you let it, though.
Well, sometimes you want to let it. Hey, I did this in the past. It didn't work out, so I remembered it. Let me try it this way and not do that.
Yes.
Part, right?
Yes, of course.
But there's other memories that are, let me tell you about my divorce. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this bad situation. Let me tell you about how I never got over my dad's death, or let me tell you how I never got over my mom, Yeah, it's traumatic. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad experience. I'm not comparing, well, I had it worse than you. Let me tell you what I did. Misery loves company.
Yeah, yeah.
We've all gone through bad stuff.
Mm.
And we've all gone through good stuff. You're not going to forget about either.
Yes.
But you can't live for it. You got to just put it in its proper place and continue. Life continues. Life is fluid. We covered this before. And so this answer, the reason I said it's deep is because there's no one answer that fits all the ages of and stages of your life. It's different.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, that's what I agree with you. Another thing you have to look at your past. You have to take the good out of it and find the blessings so that it makes you stronger moving forward. So you learn from it and you grow from it, which is pretty cool.
Right.
And it makes you a different person, right? So you're not the same person that you were even before Chicago, right? So Chicago, you went to Chicago, you had a whole lot of things happening, you had a whole lot of meetings, whatever you did, right? I'm not talking for you, I'm just saying you came out a different person, right? Because you met different people, you learned different things, and you can't be the same person you were when you went in.
Well, I came back a more satisfied person. I wasn't there. First of all, there was no hidden agenda. Let's just throw that out.
Yes, no.
Right. And so I didn't go out there to learn different things, but almost always when you're open to it, your paths cross with like-minded people. And of course, if your brain's like mine, that connects really, really fast. Opportunities, ding, I mean, stuff happens. And there's a lot of stuff that's happened on that trip like that. But I didn't go in like, oh, I'm going to meet this person, I'm going to learn new stuff. It was basically satisfaction and enjoyment, pure enjoyment. And again, taking the business part, I've said this before. I never went to a different city to have a meeting expecting to knock it out of the ballpark or have it productive or have it turn my way. I always flew to a different city to have a meeting because I knew that meeting took place at a coffee shop or took place over dinner. And I'm like, I'm going to find the greatest coffee to drink. I'm going to find the greatest meal to enjoy. Yes. And all things come from that. It's like when, I don't want to put expectations because they always change. Sometimes, though, when you go in with no expectations, it's actually better than what you ever dreamed of.
Yes.
So it's always a plus. That's how I look at it. It made traveling for me healthy. It's a healthy view of traveling. Or you can look at it like, oh my God, I got to pack. I got to get up at 6. I got a plane to catch. It's going to be 2 hours and I hope it's not delayed. And the layover, I hope they don't lose my bag. I hope the hotel is nice. When's my first meeting? How long does it take to get there? Do I cab it? Do I Uber it? Do I walk? I mean, you'll drive yourself insane.
Yeah.
Understand that I went into the city. I had kind of an idea of who I was meeting and when, but it all unfolded as the day went by. Like, I'm taking too long for this. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this afterwards. So let me carry it over. Every day I was adjusting. So that's what I mean by going in with no expectations. But when I was visiting with friends or when I was visiting with family, it was just a wonderful time. I didn't say, hey, let me tell you what I'm doing now. Or let me tell you, can you help me with this? Who cares? This is it's not business. This was just social, real social, the kind you can touch and feel and you have visual contact and you can actually hug the person. You could see their eyes and, they're not hiding behind this computer screen that everybody's gotten so used to. So it was a great pleasure to be able to do that.
Yes. And that's something I think we need to remember as well, to have that contact, because it makes a difference. You can isolate so easily. I find like I can isolate. Like it's easy to sit behind your computer and do whatever you do, and then suddenly you think, "Whoa, I'm not feeling so nice right now. What's going on?" And when you get out, take a walk, and start meeting people and saying hello, or playing with dogs that are people walking their dogs, or whatever it is, you just take that. I mean, we've spoken about this often as well. It makes that difference. But to actually have the contact and to go out and meet people for a period of time, then you energize.
Yeah. And you can easily get in a rut. I mean, without an agenda or an announced outline. I could have stayed in my hotel for 2 days and just said I was in meetings and just stayed
Yes, easily.
and watched TV. I mean, you can do that. It happens. It happened to me once upon a time,
Yes.
Of course, drugs and alcohol played a big part of that. But, that feeling where you're lazy, you want to do something, but, maybe not today. I don't look right. I don't feel right. It's too far. Or it's too expensive, or whatever your deal is, and you can literally hide out.
Yes,
and especially now, as long as you have your phone, you could sit there and post, and you could get a little dopamine from the likes and the responses that people get, and it's like we talked about. It's nice, but it's not real. It's not real. Let's talk about one of our viewers, Maria. Say last names. So
yes.
I wanted to stop by her shop. I wanted to see her, and it was far. I mean, I was in the city. You're talking about maybe an hour away. That day, I decided to get a car because I would do multiple distances, multiple suburbs, and stuff like that. And I walked in. What a pleasure! This is a Facebook. I mean, obviously we grew up the same Greek community and stuff like that. But, again, 40 years, 50 years have passed. So by all standards, we're Facebook friends, right? The commonality is we're both Greek. We both came from that past, but that's about it. And you can leave it like that if you wanted to. Or you can, I suppose, say, get out of your comfort zone a little bit and decide to actually make plans to actually meet.
Nice.
I'm in Chicago. I'd like to see you.
Yes.
And, we did a little clip, of I do plug businesses. I'm not trying to plug it on the show, but, Chocolates by Maria.
Yes, it's very cool. So we'll have the clip because it was really cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay.
It was a beautiful clip.
It was a great spread. I found out that she's running for the greatest baker competition, and if she wins, it's $10,000, and she gets a 2-page feature spread in, I think, Baker's Magazine or something like that. If I'm getting it wrong, I'm sorry. But
so vote for her, please.
Yeah. And it was so far she's number one. Now, when I went there, I didn't know about this baking thing. I just wanted to meet her. By the way, her truffles were outstanding. They were amazing. But I'm very proud. More so than the proud, I'm happy that I could finally connect with a Facebook friend for real.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so I guess what I'm trying to say is it's different to interact with her on a daily basis and share messages or like each other's posts and stuff like that. It's an entirely different thing to actually sit down and meet the person.
Yeah.
In that 10-minute meeting or half hour visit or whatever it turned out to be, you could be on Facebook for a lifetime and not fire on those cylinders, not achieve the endorphins that were achieved with this face-to-face thing. So, I know we're trying to answer these questions. How do you let go of the past? Look, these people are from my past, but I'm looking at it differently now. I'm not looking at it. I don't meet people and say, sorry, I've been out of touch for so long. True friends understand. We all have different paths. We've all gone different ways. There's no right way or wrong way. Some were harder than others. Mine was really hard. I'm sure others have, much more difficulties and stuff like that. So I'm not saying I had the worst life or whatever, but at the end of the day, they don't want to see you to receive that apology. They want to see you because they want to catch up. They want to move on. They want to move on with you.
Yes.
And it turns out that these are, lifelong friends. What a shame to not feel that you can reconnect with, with these preconceived notions of hostility or embarrassment or difficulty or whatever people put in their heads.
Yes, it's always about that, because we feel the embarrassment, we feel ashamed for whatever we think we've done. Meanwhile, everyone's just moved on and forgotten about it anyway. But it takes a lot of courage to actually go back and face those people because of the preconceived ideas, our ideas. And then you see that they were all just stories in your head.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, I got this a lot when I was there. We knew about you in school. We knew about you when you were on Oprah, and we saw you in People magazine with the Bug Band, and then that's it. We saw your brother once in a while, but we didn't know about you. And all of a sudden you just resurface and pop up, and it's, oh, Dino's on Facebook, Dino's on Instagram, Dino's on this, Dino... I chose to resurface. I chose to resurface because I was ready to resurface. There's a responsibility with resurfacing. Okay. It's not easy all the time. But what do you expect people to do? You just pop up on the screen and they're just like, oh yeah, that's Steve. Of course they want to know where you've been. What are you doing? So nice to see you, all that stuff. So, you can't just pop up and resurface and not be conscious of the fact that, you're exposing yourself to a lot of people who remember you, as a little kid throwing rocks at recess, in a mobile park. Each mobile home was a school. I mean, this is how far back we're going, right?
Yeah.
And all those are good times, and all the things that we talked about were good stuff. A lot of stuff that I forgot, a lot of the stories that people were sharing, and it was kind of cool to hear them. But it was also just as cool to hear about their current life. Married, children, some divorced. It happens. Grandkids, businesses that have succeeded, businesses that have failed, some people that are in a great place in their life, some people not so much.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
It wasn't exclusive to me. These peaks and valleys that I always talk about that happened to me, guess what? They happen to everybody. Shocker. And when you understand that, then you operate on, I'm not bigger than you. I'm not smaller than you. Everybody, regardless of their height, as an example, I always see in my mind that I'm looking to them directly at eye level, including that giant that I met, John Vincent. I posted that.
He was huge.
The only reason I took that picture was because it was just physically funny to take a picture of a little short guy and then this just towering figure. But believe it or not, very gentle guy. In his head, I'm taller than he is.
Yes.
So understand what people have in their heads and what is are sometimes two different things. And thank God these things never intimidated me. The sheer size of the man, and it would intimidate some people, or the fact that he sings the national anthem at major league stadiums all around the country. He goes all around the world. He talks. He's got a positive message. Do you believe that this guy was bullied when he was a kid?
Wow.
Like terribly bullied, like knocked out teeth and hospitalized and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, you're as big as a tree trunk. Who's going to bully you? He's like, no. I grew later in life, but I was very small. And here you go, where he's telling me about, this gentle giant, right? But there's no way you're going to mess with him when he's walking down the street. Let's just face it, right? But, to hear his story, is just similar to a lot of people's story. I mean, here's a guy who was picked on as a kid. He was bullied as a kid. His self-confidence, his self-esteem was almost zero.
I'm sure.
To the point where he was hospitalized. I mean, he wanted to end his life. He had no reason to live. And, I mean, it was just a horrible cage that he built around him. And he found a way. He found a way. And believe it or not, guess what he's spreading? Hope. Sound familiar?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I didn't patent that word either. So, it's great to connect with like-minded people that have similar stories, different backgrounds. I don't know this guy from Adam, but he was introduced to me and we hit it off right away. And his message is very powerful, powerful enough where I actually believe I'm going to talk to the editor and see if we could put him in Life Without Limits magazine, because it's a story that's exactly what the magazine's about.
Yes.
It's about positive, overcoming obstacles and, where you become extraordinary from ordinary. It's that moment. And he has all those ingredients. He checked off all the boxes. But here's an example where, later in life, he decides to change. He decides, hey, I'm blessed. And he decides to do something different in his life. And he decides to recharge his batteries, just like I do, by spreading hope and inspiring and being a positive influence on other people's lives. I don't think people realize what that does to the person spreading this hope. It's just as magical as the person receiving it.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So he's like, if I had to describe him, aside from his sheer size, he's just this bubbly, almost over-energetic guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's the one that's like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing great. It's like, whoa, take it easy. But he's a happy guy. He's a happy guy. He's loving life.
That's pretty awesome.
It is. It's pretty cool.
To go back to the question about the past. For me, it's always about take the blessings, all of them, and that's what you do. I mean, that's what it sounds like. That's what he did, right? Take the blessings and then just grow with it.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's not blocking his past. He's not forgetting about that he was hospitalized. He's not forgetting the fact that he wanted to kill himself. He's not forgetting the pain that he went through as a child. But he's certainly not dwelling on it. In fact, what he's doing is he's using that as fuel to say, just like I did, I can't be the only one who's gone through this. And sure enough, I mean, there's anti-bullying campaigns going on. I mean, bullying, if you really dive into it, is a very horrible thing.
It's horrible. And
I don't know if it's if it's pronounced more with cameras and social media posts, or if it's gotten worse. From an outsider looking in, I'd say it's gotten worse, but who knows? That's just me talking. But regardless, better or worse, it's a horrible thing to have done to you. I was talking to somebody else who said that, well-adjusted kid. She's 13 years old. I was speaking to her mom, and the biggest thing for her daughter is that her daughter doesn't want to go to school, not because she doesn't feel she's smart, not because her teachers, not because of the failing grade, not because of the location. Do you know what it is?
Bullying.
It's that she has a Samsung phone and everybody else has an iPhone, and they're making fun of her for having a cheaper phone. This is the world we're in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's become so superficial.
Like, who cares? You got a phone. You could text. You could do whatever. I don't know the difference. I know iPhones are pretty expensive. I'm sure most phones are pretty expensive. But again, this is what the mother could afford. This was the, get a family plan and you get a free phone kind of thing.
Yeah.
No shame in doing that. But the way the kids look at it, it's like you might as well be from Mars. Oh, you can't afford an iPhone. Wow. And for that to bother you, I'm not blaming the little girl. But for that to get under somebody's skin so much that you don't want to go to school, it's insane.
Yes, but
It's insane.
that age is you're so sensitive at that age as well, and you
You're
want everyone to like you, right?
Of course. And that's the very reason why I keep harping on this social stuff. Everybody likes your stuff on social. It doesn't mean they like you on social. They're not really your friends. Get that through your head.
Yeah.
Some maybe. But for the most part, it's just somebody that's crossing, flipping, I don't know how many times.
Yeah, they're just scrolling and seeing,
And the only reason they stop on mine is because it's either a cool message or a funny, whatever. Who knows? Some days they might pass right by it. Some days I think I got the best thing since sliced bread and the most powerful statement in the world. And oh my God, I should get a lot of views on this one. And you get nothing. And other days you post a ham sandwich and you get like 700 likes. If I'm basing my success or failure on the response from social media, I got to tell you right now, if I had rolling shutters and I had a business window, I'd shut them and I'd be done. There's just no way you can base your success or on social posts. But you use them for what they're for. I mean, if you want to brand yourself, it's a great little icing on the cake. You'll get around, you'll get traction, you'll be on Google. And if that makes you feel special, that's great. It's not going to get you sales. It's not meant to get you sales. I'm not the Kardashians where I can like something in a shoe store and get $250,000 with one Twitter like.
Yeah.
I'm not that I'll never be that. If she does it, God bless her. But for most of us, the regular people that have the same issues around the kitchen table, that want to put food on the table, we want to have a better life, we want to have a great family, we want to be happy. These things, we're not the Kardashians. Okay? We're not Vanderpump Rules. We're not, those are shows, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's not reality. So to answer again, back to the question, because I want to stay focused, that's not reality either. No. You can watch TV shows. You can watch reality shows. They're not reality. They're not really reality.
No. They're
three choices of what to do. Most of it is scripted. Shocker, guys. And a lot of the arguments that happen, or when you see somebody holding a wine glass, those things are put there by the producers. I could say, I don't drink, and there'll be a wine glass on my nightstand when I wake up in the morning, just to tempt me. No pressure, I mean, but this is, but that sells. That sells.
Yes, yes.
And so for somebody looking at the world that way, I'm not knocking it. I mean, admittedly, it's not the best thing to be on and dwell on, right? It's just a snippet of life. But, that you got to understand that those things aren't real. So it goes back to, who are you?
Yeah.
Am I defined by reality shows? Am I defined by what the Kardashians are wearing? Am I defined by who's messing around with who and Vanderpump Rules and how it's okay to do that? Or, casually going down Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive and, buying a bunch of stuff. These people are waiters and waitresses. They're buying $5,000 purse. I mean, come on, okay? But if you're buying that hook, line, and sinker, then you believe I should have an iPhone.
Yes.
And your Samsung phone sucks, okay? Yeah. And look at my purse, and you got your purse from, whatever the normal stores are. That's a lot of pressure to live up to. That's not reality. You got to go and you got to do some deep dives and find out, who am I? And what am I defined by? You got to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
It's a very good question that this person asked. there's not one answer, unfortunately. It's a
No.
sociology class. We could go on forever. And I'm sure whoever's watching this you guys could chime in anytime and give your take. There's no wrong answer. I'm just giving you my spin on it because I've come to realize that I'm not going to escape my past. I'm not going to hide the fact that I was an alcoholic. I'm not going to hide the fact that I've had successful businesses. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a Greek American. I'm not going to hide the fact that I went to a Greek school. All those are fine for me now. There was a time, though, where none of those were fine. So you change, right?
Yes, but it also means that you've done the deep dives and you were ready to accept parts of you that because sometimes as we grow up, we reject those parts, especially if, like, that 13-year-old girl is, she's ashamed now because she's got a Samsung phone. So she'll always hide the fact, right? And when you get older and you start doing the deep dives and you become more, you start loving yourself more, then it's okay. It's okay to accept those parts of you.
Later on in life, the people that are saying I have an iPhone, they're the ones that are going to be clipping coupons at a grocery store somewhere. Right. And that's okay too. But I'm just saying, be careful about being the bully, because usually the bullies later in life, as I have seen, they're not the cool kids.
No.
The ones bullied, believe it or not, and I met a lot of those too on this trip. They're the ones that are pillars of the community, grounded, kind, shocker, that's a great word, kind, and successful,
Yes.
All great things to be.
The problem as well is that we always, with the bully, you find that they've probably been bullied at home. And they don't know any better. I mean, I'm not excusing bullies at all. Okay, I'm not, but I'm just putting that out there. But it's still not okay. It's not okay to be a bully at all.
You don't know. You don't know. And what you find is most of the bullies are the ones that have the low self-esteem.
Yes, definitely, of course.
And they get their superpower from all the little cronies and minions that follow them and encourage that behavior.
Yes.
If those same cronies and minions were strong enough to stand up and say, you know what, that's not cool, their power is gone. What people have to understand, whether you're an alcoholic, whether you're recovering, whether you've been abused, whether you have a failed marriage, failed business, anything like that, you have to understand you've always had the power.
Yes.
To change.
Yes.
And when you allow somebody to bully you, when you allow somebody to browbeat you, when you allow somebody to verbally abuse you or whatever, or basically call you a loser because you've had a failed business, you're allowing that to happen, right? That's the only way this thing works. Yes. Until you get in the right mind frame and you're just like, okay, I'm not going to allow this to happen. Yeah, I did fail, and it's okay. And you know what? I'm going to talk about it because people do fail.
Yes, it's okay.
And it's okay. Now, since the last time we talked about deep dives till today that we've talked about deep dives, it's probably been less than a month.
Probably. Okay. Probably.
Let me just give you a crazy example of how important deep dives are and why we shouldn't look at it like a special thing that we have to do. In that almost month, I've upgraded the software, because it's time for a software upgrade, 5 times, 5 separate times.
Wow.
What am I doing to my phone? I'm rebooting it in essence, right? Because it's got new technology, it's got new things, new safety measures, security measures, whatever it is. You just look at it, oh, it's time for a software upgrade, install, boom, it's done. Some people have the automatic one. Believe it or not, go back and look and you'll see. Within a month, it's been updated 5 times.
Yes.
Why is it so common for us to accept that? But it's just unbelievably shocking to use the word deep dives. I do them daily, sometimes more than once a day. I do them whenever it's needed.
Yes. Yes.
I'm rebooting my brain. This is a new world in so many ways. It's the same in so many others. But for me, it's a new world because of the focus away from the personal connection and the focus on the cyber connections, the focus on less real, like touching, and more on all these fancy gadgets to spread our message or ourselves around, right? It's a depersonalized, desensitized world. It's foreign to me. There's a lot of times, especially in the beginning, that I was just like, I can't take this. These people coming out of the woodwork, some direct messages, you wouldn't even repeat to your mother, the stuff that they write. But they write it, and God bless them. It's a free country, and, you're entitled to do whatever. You can either dwell on what they write, or you could ignore it, or, whatever you want to do. But that's not the world that I remember, and that's, quite frankly, not the world that I want to be in. Let's put it this way: consumed by morning, noon, and night. So the only way to stay grounded is to keep telling yourself, you got to redefine who you are. Who am I? Am I this new social person? Am I gunning to be a social influencer? Or am I still Dino? And technology's changed. You got to embrace technology. You got to partner with people that understand technology if you refuse to want to understand it, like me. But that doesn't change who you are. That doesn't change my message.
No.
That doesn't change my approach to businesses or my philosophy on the principles of success or family or Hellenism or kitchen table ideas or anything like that. It's not going to be distorted by this new world that I don't think is real at all. So the only way to stay grounded is to just keep redefining who I am. I'm rebooting my software.
Yes.
Daily.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's how I'm able to get grounded. That's how I'm able to attack the unknown, not knowing the outcome, but with confidence. Let's put it that way. Because you know who you are.
Yes.
And when you know who you are, you're grounded. And when you know who you are, you can remember the past, and you can remember bad times, and you can remember good times. But also, when you know who you are, you can accept the future a little bit better, right? So all those good, wonderful things come from my initial answer, which is you got to know who you are, right?
Yes, and it's a process. So you've got to work on it like every day. And and I agree with you. You have to remind yourself of who you are, because it's easy to get caught up in the day to day, especially if you're using social media for business or whatever you're using it for. It's easy to get caught up in that. So you've got to step back and say, okay, this is who I am. I'm not all these. This is who I am as a real person, not all this crazy stuff that you see online.
And just to be clear, it's not just, I know we keep picking on the social interaction, but before social platforms were around, this is the big thing that happened with rock stars or movie stars in Hollywood. At some point, they start believing their grandiose persona, and they start saying things like, do you know who I am? You made a good movie. I appreciate your acting. It's a tough thing to act, okay? It's not something that you just pick up on the street.
No,
I mean, acting is very
hard.
difficult.
Very hard.
And if you're ever in a segment or even a podcast or a movie, you understand that you feel a part, you say a line, and right when you're ready to go, cut. Now they got to change the angle. Oh, there's a little bright spot on your forehead, all this stuff. And that's why it takes 16 hours a day just to film 5 minutes of footage, when it comes down to it. It's tough. So I give them all the credit. It's just as tough as starting a business from scratch. It's just as tough as working for somebody for 12 hours a day and busting your hump to put food on the table. It's not exclusive. Oh, you don't know how tough it is unless you're an actor. But for some reason, because they have that following following that happened even before social was around. Clark Gable didn't have social media, okay? But I'm sure when he got out of his car, he was mobbed. Clint Eastwood,
I'm sure.
I mean, I could keep going on and on and on.
Yeah.
For many people that experience that, they start getting this grandiose idea that everybody loves you. Not unlike the social feelings that we get now. Oh, I got 5,000 friends. Oh, everybody loves me. Let me put up a post and I'll get 300 likes. Good for you. But you don't know these people. The same thing, me being on Oprah. And then I go to a gas station to pump gas and people start running. Oh, I just saw you on Oprah. Who are you? It's scary. But for some people, they're just like, yeah, I am something. I'm a big deal, and then you start forgetting who you are.
Yes.
You start forgetting that, what, you had years of hard work. You went to acting school. You were a waiter for 7 years before you were noticed and had your first big break. I mean, they forget about that part that keeps you, I believe, grounded. There's very few actors and actresses that don't live in that plastic world in Hollywood or LA or wherever they are. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of them that you notice they live in like Montana or Wyoming or Iowa or some unassuming, and you're like, well, you're a big star. Why do you live there? Because they know who they are. Yeah. They don't want that. You got a red carpet thing. It's part of the job. You want to schmooze, you want to plug your next movie. Okay, I'll be there. I'll be on, this show or that show, or I'm going to show up at the Mandarin Chinese theater, whatever the ceremonial stuff is. But when that's done, when their job is done, plugging the movie, plugging the book, plugging the TV series, guess where they go? They go home to a normal house with a normal family, with normal kitchen table conversation, and they're humble.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they even do deep dives. Okay? Don't believe the hype. It's not just now that social's around. This has been going on forever.
Yeah, of course. It's just become more normalized almost with social, because you have so-called normal people. So you don't have, because before it was the actors and the actresses, right? Now you have the so-called the normal people who have the following. So
now they're not normal.
And sometimes it's maybe difficult. If you don't know yourself, it's difficult not to get caught up in it.
It's very easy to get caught up in it. And that's why I said, I thought long and hard before I resurfaced. Because I remember, here's the other thing. How do you escape your past? Well, technically, my answer is you don't. Because you remember, right? Yeah. I'm going to resurface. That's great. Oh, Dino's here. Dino's doing a book. Dino's doing a magazine. Dino's doing all these things. And that's great. Thank you so much for everybody following me. But at the same time, it comes with a whole set of circumstances, a lot of them not good, if it gets your big head even bigger. You know what I mean? You got to say, wait a minute, I've been down this road before. I know what happens. I know the ending to this story.
Yeah.
Than it was before. And so it's a much more tolerable thing for me now, because I don't believe my own hype. Okay. I'm doing what I believe strongly in. I believe in helping. I believe in inspiring. I believe I have a gift to do that. I believe I'm here as a second chance to do that. But it's not attached to all the endorsements and junk before. Like, did you hear you're in the paper in the Tennessean? I go, oh yeah, what page am I on? Who cares? Just be happy you're in. But that's how I thought. What page am I on? Did they take a picture of my face? No, it's just the wristband. It's you like this with the wrist. Well, what did they say? And then I get mad at some of the stuff they write. And early on, I'd say, is there any way I can call the writer and have them change this part? They're like, it's not a play. This is in print. It happened. You're not going to get a retraction. You're not that important. But that's what I thought back then. Now I don't care what they say. I'm just happy to have the opportunity to keep getting a bigger and bigger soapbox. That's what I need.
Yes.
More people to hear this message, that hopefully it'll hit them, that, hey, you're not alone and there is hope, and you can do it. And it's not just exclusive to the smart or the pretty or the wealthy. It's a gift for everybody to enjoy. Yes. If you're ready to tap into yourself and understand that you have all the wonderful tools. I describe myself as a well-oiled business machine. Guess what? Everybody is a well-oiled business machine. It's just some of them need more oil. That's all. Some of them just need a few more gears. I've had practice at this, like practice, 40 years of practice. That's 40. This isn't like, oh, I tried this for a couple of months. I don't know how you do it. This is 40 years, stuff that comes natural to me, that seems impossible to other people, is only because I've done it for so long.
Yes.
You're the same person that's so good in 40 years of business. Isn't it funny how naive I am, like Bambi in Lost in the Woods, when it comes to things like social interaction and likes and shares and podcasts and all this technical stuff that I don't really understand. So a lot of people look at it and they're just like, how can you be so smart in this and so dumb in this? And I laugh. I'm just like, yeah, you're right. This is new to me, right? But instead of like putting my head in the sand and saying, I can't do this. This is just a new world. It's terrifying. At least I'm trying.
Yes.
And not only trying to understand it, but if I have to do stuff in this foreign territory, I invoke the help of experts who do understand the layout. Yes, and guess what? They all speak the same language at the end of the day, and it still comes down to a business meeting where I say, let me tell you what's in my head. Now go ahead and do it.
Yes.
So nothing's changed. Right?
Yes.
Isn't it funny? Old is new.
Of course, nothing changes. But what I love about this as well, I'm just going to harp on one thing, is to be able to laugh at yourself. So it's okay for someone to say, how can you be so brilliant at this in her house and so stupid in this? And you go, ha, 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 that's funny.
Well, I'll be the first one to say it. They're like, don't call yourself stupid. I'm like, no, I am stupid in this arena. By choice, I don't know. There's some things I'd rather hear somebody scratch a chalkboard than learn some of these new things. It's just not interesting. So you have to just, at least for me, just to kind of wrap this up, I choose to focus right now on what I'm good at. That's what I want to focus on, right? I can get inundated with all the other stuff that comes along with it, or I can look at it maturely and say, you know what? If you have a good team, each expert in these fields, then you're unstoppable regardless.
Yes.
What that does for me is it clarifies who I am, what I'm doing, and why. And where things could get distorted because my mind's on, how am I going to post this? How am I going to monetize this? How am I going to raise money for this? Or, if I don't worry about those things, then I could do what I do best.
Yes.
Give me a big soapbox and you guys worry about it. And I know I'm simplifying it a lot, but that's what keeps me sane. There's a lot of moving parts to my vision. It's not just, I think I'm going to do this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I'm sure in everybody's endeavors, right? But I'm just talking about mine. And those moving parts can be exhausting. I'm not 30 years old anymore. I'm not 21 anymore. I feel like I am, but there's a lot of things that during those years that I found important, and maybe I can handle the detail parts better and other things. But as you get older, you get more polished in a presentation, more relaxed, more comfortable, natural. It's harder to do both at the same time. So you have to embrace your gift. What is my gift? It's not technical social platforms. It's speaking in front of people, preferably face to face, moving them, touching them, meeting them, shaking their hands, hugging. I'm a big hugger. All those things, right? I can't worry about how many people are following me and did I respond to them and did I interact in a way and do I have my Instagram stuff boosted or not, and what are the analytics? Hey, that's not for me. Okay, and I'm okay with that. That's the whole thing. I'm okay with that.
And that's why it's important to know who you are.
Right.
So to know your strengths and then allow, because a lot of times people are afraid to let other people help them, right? So once you know who you are and you know your strengths, then it's perfect, because then you start finding people to grow your team. And then it just gives you more power.
Yeah, and let's make clear, it's not helping like, hey, will you do me a favor?
No.
It's basically saying, here's my dream, here's my vision, here's the movement, here's what I need.
Yes.
And when they offer that service, just like a business, there's a percentage of my dream that's offered back to them for that service. It's like everything else I've done in my life. It's a partnership. It's a affiliates, associates, whatever makes you feel. Yes. But you understand what I'm saying?
Of course.
This isn't a favor, although I don't ask for favors. But I believe that everybody benefits when they're like-minded, and everybody who follows this dream should share the rewards of the dream. That's what makes it good. When you work and feel like it's your own.
Yes.
You will do backflips and you will move mountains to accomplish that goal and reach or come close to the vision, right? That's in my head.
Yes.
But my vision's very, very clear. Sometimes it's unreachable, even for me, but it's in my head. So the best I could do is just aspire to get as close to that vision as possible. Is that a failure? No, because nobody's perfect. That's another one we could talk about for another time. But I hope it was a good question that was asked. I'm sure it was sincerely asked, and I didn't want to cheapen the answer, but I wanted to give several examples of. They're not really different answers, but you could take them all as different answers, and I hope it helped.
Yes, thank you. I still think we need to, I think we've answered the question. So what is reality? Okay, and how do I let go of the past? So it was a good one. Thank you. And thank you to, I don't know, I didn't ask if I could name her, so I'm saying thank you. And there are a whole lot of questions here and comments. Thank you for that too. We'll answer them back in the group.
All right, cool. Well, this was a good one. I enjoyed it. Keep the questions coming. I love that.
Yes, thank you. And if anyone else has any ideas, they've got any questions, bring them on. We'll have fun with it.
Cool.
And of course, if you want to be a guest on the show as well, just let us know. So thank you. Thank you, Dino. All
right. Thank you. I enjoyed it. We'll talk to you later. Take care, everybody. Don't forget to break fear, find freedom. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.